everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legal Anchor. Today we'll be talking about maritime security. What better place to talk about maritime security than here in Port Royal, once known as the wickedest city in the world. Today it is a very quiet village now. Music, small people just a whole of vibes and just taking it easy. However, many persons do not know that this is the origins of maritime security in Jamaica. How so? Port Royal, being a major seafaring country, being a major seafaring place in Jamaica, ensured that people were being protected. Protection. Right here, we're now at Fort Charles. This was where Jamaica's first major maritime security is known. Fort Charles was built in the shape of a ship. So therefore, ships coming to Jamaica that may be coming to attack Jamaica would be of the view that this was a ship they were coming towards. It would fool the attacking ships that they were coming towards a ship and they could begin firing to protect the mainland. Little did they know they were being attacked by the mainland of Jamaica. This was done because they would know which ships they were expecting and which ships were enemy ships. Maritime security has evolved a lot from that. From the days we're seeing there the cannons in the background. We've evolved. We've moved from that to now we have it not much more formal. The Jamaica Defence Force, under the Jamaica Defence Force Act, established the JDF Coast Guard. The Coast Guard today is now here dealing with maritime security, ensuring that the island's borders are protected. Our territorial waters are 2 times the size of the mainland, which means the Coast Guard's job is one that is extremely hard. But they're mandated by law to go out and protect our waters from persons who may be overfishing, persons who are doing illegal activities such as piracy, all of those things. The Jamaica Coast Guard is there to protect our borders, to ensure that we are kept safe right here on the mainland, and also that our marine interests are also kept safe, to ensure that we have enough food, as the fish are major source. Equally, we also have to protect our beaches, our waterways, all of that the Coast Guard is there to do. So, we have come a very long way in maritime security, from Captain Morgan to buccaneering. Today, we now have maritime security done in a very formal way. The Marine Police are now the ones we also see charged with it. They're charged under the JCF, Jamaica Constabulary Force Act. Under the Jamaica Constabulary Force Act, they are empowered to ensure that marine security is upheld in this country. They do so by having their boats that go out and patrol the seas to ensure that illegal activities are curtailed out there at sea. We see this being done on a daily basis when we see in the news the drug bust. All of those things are maritime security. So here we are, down here, right on the waterfront of Port Royal. Behind me, you can see the boats that are used for maritime security to ensure that our island's borders are protected. We see that the customs will go out there and they also do their necessary checks. Therefore, we know that Jamaica has a very robust maritime security element to us. And in ensuring that our maritime security is kept robust, we have the necessary tools to execute our trade. These tools include having a boat, having the essential personnel on there. So trained seafarers who are police or who are coast guards, as we know, go out and ensure that our waters are protected. We are now Rockport Harbour Head, maritime security. You see the ship in the background? I'm sure you're seeing it very well, but what is blocking your view? The chain link fence, barbed wire, everything. You realize I cannot just walk from here to that ship. Behind me is a metal door, solid metal doors. I am more than likely being watched right now by cameras to protect the goods on this ship. That is maritime security. Safety of life at sea. Solas. The Solas Convention. And if you look, you can see it says on that door, this facility is at security level 1. If you read your Solas, you will know there are 3 levels. Level 1 is the lowest level, which means it is not somewhere that is of high threat. So therefore, that is probably why I'm even able to stand here right now. No security personnel has come and removed me. This is not a high risk place, but however, they still ensure to uphold Solas. We see it is upheld because I can't walk from here onto that ship. That means Solas is in operation. The laws of Solas, so the international laws, are protecting this ship right now as I speak. So, you now have a clear understanding of the safety of life at sea, because security needs to be upheld. Not just Solas, but there are also other conventions that we are parties to. There is the illegal suppression of drugs, because they're to ensure that nobody goes and gets attaching drug canisters onto that ship. That is where we would see security coming in. We would see the security of the police and the JDF. Also, we know that as it relates to our security, we need to make sure that we protect the people who work on board these vessels. So their security is of paramount importance. From that, we know that there are myriad of security conventions that we are party to here in Jamaica. Many of those conventions are upheld on a daily basis, and we see this constantly. So, here it is. Maritime security.
Okay, so welcome back to Maritime and Friends, and we have here Mr. Reed, and he's here to talk to us about safety. Maritime
safety and security.
Maritime safety and security, and of course, you know how we move goods is very important across the seas. It's very important. There should be certain rules and regulations in place. There should be certain bodies in place. There should be certain mechanisms to prevent against whether it be corruption or piracy or just in general protect the goods, correct?
Yes.
Sorry?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Can you give us an introduction, please, of what you're going to be talking to us about?
Sure, maritime safety and security. So as you know, as I told you, and some of your viewers are already aware, I'm an international maritime lawyer, trained at the International Maritime Law Institute, IMLI, in Malta. That's an island south of Italy. And that is where I gained my master's in international maritime law.
Yeah.
Today we'll be discussing maritime safety and security. Maritime safety and security is a very important topic in the maritime industry, because we need to ensure that the goods and people are kept safe as they make their way from their point of origin to their point of destination. So maritime safety and security, we see the major thing governing it is Solas, safety of life at sea. And maritime security, we know here in Jamaica, is a major issue. Crime is a major issue in our country. So maritime security, we have to make sure that ships that are here at our ports are also being kept secure.
So Mr. Reed, just to cut you, what is the greatest threat to maritime safety? What do you think is the greatest threat that we're facing? I mean, we here in Jamaica, we rely on the sea.
Yes, but the greatest threat to maritime safety would be to ensure that the persons on board the ship are being kept safe and the cargo are being kept safe. To ensure that there isn't any form of spillage of the cargo, ensuring that the persons on board the ship, in terms of injury, reducing the likelihood of injury, reducing the likelihood that if the ship should meet into a maritime peril, that the persons on board the ship, their lives are kept safe. Equally, as it comes to maritime security, we have to make sure that the ship itself is secure from persons just being able to walk on board the ship. And equally, we have to ensure that the cargo is kept secure and that persons do not go and tamper with it, insert paraphernalia that should not be on there, such as illegal contraband drugs and attachment of drug canisters onto the ship hull, which we see as a major issue. As a matter of fact, that was what my dissertation was on. So that is mainly what we see when we talk about maritime safety and security. It's normally twin.
Okay. Or safety and
security. They normally run together hand in hand because they're governed very closely. The safety of life at sea, Solas Convention, that
Solas, safety of life at sea. Okay.
Is of vital importance, equally the security. And Solas touches even on the security because we see the ISPS code also.
ISPS code. Okay.
International Ship and Port Security Codes.
Okay.
We see that.
I remember someone spoke to me about International Ship and Port Security Code. Okay, so what exactly is this? Because it was kind of in line to a question I was looking to ask you about what laws and mechanisms are in place to protect to ensure the safety and security of crew and cargo. So, Mr. Please expound.
So, as we have already expounded, I think a lot on Solas, with it being for safety, it ensures that the ship is riddled, and I use that word purposely, riddled with safety paraphernalia. It ensures that the ship has fire extinguishers, sufficient life jackets. If it is carrying people, it also has a sprinkler system, even if it's not carrying. Because all ships carry people, I should say, when I say carrying people, I mean in terms of cruise ships. But
the passengers, correct?
Passengers. So once there are passengers on board, all of those things we have to make sure is up to standard. So that's where we see our safety of life at sea.
Just to continue, so let's say if we're transporting goods versus say a cruise line, is it that the safety mechanisms in place are totally different or?
No, we see that basically a lot of the same.
Are the same?
Yes.
Whether it's for people or cargo?
Cargo, yes. We also say that cargo also has its own because we have to speak of dangerous cargo when you're carrying things in bulk. That is made mention of under the law because if you're carrying chlorine, things that if they spill into the sea, we can see catastrophic disasters.
Very, very interesting that you mentioned the catastrophic disaster.
Yes.
So can you speak to us about one? Can you give us an example of one that is presently taking place? I'm sure our viewers are aware of it.
Yes, there is one currently taking place, and I think because it is currently being investigated, yes, we've not talked just yet on it. But yes, there has been one. They've said to us it isn't a threat right now because they're doing everything they can. It's happening over in a neighboring Caribbean island, and it has a potential that if not taken in hand, we can see the currents carrying its cargo, its contents I should say, up into our side of the Caribbean to Jamaica. But they said they have it under control and they're currently dealing with it. Because it is currently being investigated, I don't want to say too much.
Fair enough. Okay, so as you can see, legal affairs are a very touchy matter to say the least. So we're trying to be very diplomatic. But we can read between the lines, and there was a particular incident in which particular liquids were being transported by a particular ship, which was owned by a particular country. Now we can thus assume, Mr. Reed, that this particular ship, which is just being owned by a particular country, they did not implement safety mechanisms.
I do not want to jump to say that they didn't implement the necessary safety mechanisms because I have had a privilege of reading the report and knowing I have not availed myself of that. So until we are fully aware, right now, official release from the government of that country that did their investigation, they say right now it's not a threat.
Okay.
But
right now
it's not a threat, but they're doing everything they can to ensure that it does not become a threat to the rest of the region.
What about piracy? Now we are in Jamaica, we don't really have that problem anymore to deal with like pirates and buccaneers and what have you. But is that a threat for in the Caribbean? Pirates and buccaneers and if not in the Caribbean, where in the world do you think? Is that
we see piracy happening a lot on the other side of the world. I don't want, once again, careful how we call it. So we see it happening. There are problem areas, as we say in law. So we see some problem areas that when ships are deciding to sail into those areas, what they have been known to do is they attach barbed wire to the sides of the ship to ensure that persons do not board their ships and try and hijack the ship and take the cargo on there. They also have armed, they take on armed security when going into these parts of the sea that are well known for pirates being in that area. So we see safety in that area being even more, or security I should say, in that area being of much more concern. And when ships tend to go into that area, we see the ISPS code being raised.
The ISPS code, okay, please just reiterate to us, please.
Sure.
That means the
International Ship and Port Security Code. It goes from 1 to 3. 3 being the highest, meaning it's a dangerous place.
So it's on 1, it's on the lowest.
Low risk.
And
Low risk. There haven't had many incidents, and it is somewhere that they are comfortable with.
So that means that the mechanism that they have in place to ensure the safety and the security won't be as high in comparison to some place that is a 3.
A 3, exactly. In a place that is a 3, you may see, as I said, armed security on board the ship. You may see them taking extra precaution, attaching barbed wire.
And all these actions are governed under international
Exactly. Under international law. Because it is such a high risk place, you're allowed now to put even more mechanisms in place. So the law is protecting you and giving you the go ahead. For lack of a better word, the law is giving you the go ahead. Yes, take on armed security persons. Yes, put the barbed wire fencing around. And we see some ships even have these pumps that blow water. That if somebody should try to scale the side of the ship, it's very interesting to see. That if somebody should try to scale the side of the ship, all of a sudden these big pumps attached to the side of the ship just start gushing water.
So can they just shoot them?
Exactly. And we see that as well. That's why the armed ones are on there.
Okay.
Because they've been known that when they see them coming towards him, they just open fire on them.
And that is international.
And that is yes.
Legal. Correct?
Because they're in high risk zones.
What about Jamaica? Do you think that can you speak about some of the security?
Yes, we have security. Of course, we adhere to it. Jamaica, thankfully, is not considered at the top level of it. So, and what you need to remember is when you're at the top level, ships are not ready wanting to call in your port. So it poses that issue. It means that you get goods into your country are even harder. So Jamaica is not, thankfully, even though we have security issues, as it relates to our maritime security, we've done a very good job of securing our ports, securing all the other various port along the way, the other little stops that they may make, like at Harbour Head and other places. We see that they haven't had major problems there.
So then we can thus assume, rightfully so, that if a country is at high risk, then it will be more expensive for companies to ship there.
Yes, you would definitely then see the impact on to the consumer, because remember, all of these things have to be paid for.
So what they're paying for is the risk.
Yes, your goods will go up because of the risk. The risk of shipping goods to this country is known because it is known for piracy. The risk of shipping goods there and getting your ship, because remember, you're now looking at the safety of your crew.
Right.
Because you have to take into account their safety.
Right. Now there was a particular movie that I watched a couple
years
ago. What is that movie again?
I don't remember. I think very famous Tom. I think Tom Hanks was in it. Yes.
Right. So then if you watch that show, the name of the show has
it has slipped me as well.
Yes. But that show was a good example of maritime.
Excellent. It is an excellent example. I was actually told to watch it when I was studying, when I was doing my master's in international maritime law.
Okay.
Our lecturer encouraged us to watch that movie to understand, to get a practical understanding of it. Yes.
I just remember Tom Hanks.
Yes.
Tom Hanks movie at sea, something of the sort. But that should be a very good show.
It's a very interesting watch. Yes.
Very interesting watch. Okay. Alright, well, Mr. Ray, thank you very much for coming to speak to us today about safety and security at sea. We have learned a lot, and Mr. Ray, we're definitely looking forward to having you again.
Thank you very much, and it was indeed a pleasure.
Okay, Mr. Ray, take care. All the best.
Yes, thank you.
Guys.